Not too long ago, I started preparing for episode 4 of the Vermintide 2 Career Showcase series, and the plan was to do Grail Knight. The problem with this plan was that if I did him, then I would really just be broadcasting to everybody that I don't know how to do characters like Carillion or Sienna any sort of justice. Which is, unfortunately, very true. I don't know how to play Sienna or Carillion, and hopefully that will come in time. But believe it or not, the career to steal the show, and to some extent revive my overall enjoyment of the game, was this guy, the Outcast engineer. And I gotta say, this guy has gotten quite a lot of mixed reviews. Probably a syndrome of how hit or miss he could be in campaigns. It's like, he either doesn't quite have his situational awareness where it needs to be, or his ult is too overemphasized and requires constant maintenance checks, or just that he's lacking in one too many areas. I mean, look at me. My favorite career is Grail Knight, and if you know anything about Grail Knight, you'll know that this and this aren't exactly similar. And to be fair, you would be correct in pointing out that his lack of melee capabilities and over-reliance / attention-demanding career skill makes him a complicated and difficult playstyle to learn and get used to. This guy was released over a year ago, and I am just now finally getting into him, so much so that I feel confident enough to make a video on him. But if it takes that long to learn one career, then good luck to me trying to finish this long-ass series. So how about this? Let's take all the bad stuff and make it less so, yeah? Firstly, his career skill is simply too small. You burn through ammunition too quickly, and when you don't have a good amount of ult, you have to rely more on what makes Outcast NG so unfun to play. So how about we increase his ability bar by 50%? And hey, just for shits and giggles, we'll even reward you for killing specials. Kind of a steal if you ask me. But Zachary, getting my ult back is too hard. Well fine, let's focus on the 2 ways you can get your ult back in the most convenient way possible. First option lets you have some extra attack speed while you wait for your ult to charge up, and to be honest, it's a pretty good deal. But the problem is that the moment you decide to use it, even for a single shot, you'll lose it. Which is why you toss that talent along with this one in the trash and use this one instead. It works while you do and has a very generous duration, allowing you to switch between your gun and refreshing the duration very easily. This frees up your ability to use your career skill in many more situations so long as you check the duration bar within 12 seconds. And to be honest, that isn't too bad once you get used to it. Trust me, I know. From there, you have all the complaints about Bardin's poor melee damage, and you have these 2 talents that you can use to make it a little more manageable. But herein lies the question. Why would you want them? Oh, you like 10% extra melee power? Well, why not use this instead, and now you can perform even better at shredding hordes, in turn making managing your career skill even less of a chore. And you still deal 80% of the damage to the enemy behind the first one, and you keep all the staggers. Leading shots is cool too, but to be honest, managing your career skill to the best of your ability is insanely important, so I'll stick with that, thank you very much. Piston power is pretty damn fun when you think about it, extremely helpful when fighting elites and even monsters. 15 seconds is not a long time, and I can absolutely see its viability. But then you have the option of taking 25% less damage at all times. And that's before Barkskin. Low-key, I like to think that I go with habilitative armor because it softens the mental strain a bit when you get hit by an enemy you didn't see. Bombardier is cool and all, but honestly, when you have a f***ing pocket rocket, it ain't exactly helpful to get both effects of bombs at once. More on that later. So what did we miss? You have Grumrow plated shot that deals more damage and staggers to elites, except for Chaos Warriors. By the way, you have to expend your entire ult just to kill one of them, so yeah, not a huge fan. The idea here is to use this for elites and have your ranged weapon be something like a shotgun or fire weapon for hordes. But honestly, it's way more effective the other way around. And if you haven't been doing it this way, I don't even know how you enjoy Outcast Engineer in the first place. Talent set number 3, I'd go with Mainstay since you deal the most stagger damage possible that way. Health maintenance, I'd go with Engineer's Resolve. Reason being, you get 2 temp health when you stagger an enemy, and since you don't deal a lot of melee damage, you can easily maximize the amount of staggers you get before the enemy goes down. And while we're on the subject of melee damage, I'd recommend a shield or the dual hammers. Good mobility, straightforward swing patterns, and it already has plenty of stamina, which allows you to comfortably add 60% block cost to it. Speaking of which, here are all of my traits and properties. Here's my necklace, my charm, and my trinket. And one last small detail here, but ult reduction is literally useless. It doesn't even do anything, I think. Here's an idea though. Instead of shrinking the ability meter like everyone else, maybe do the opposite and expand his ability bar by 10%. You're welcome. And that leaves his ranged weapon of choice. All of Bardin Gorekson's options are on the table here, but if I were you, I'd prioritize damage to elites and monsters since you already have your career skill for hordes in range. That leaves either the Masterwork Pistol or the Pocket Rocket. The Masterwork Pistol can, at its highest level, one-shot Storm Vermin on Cataclysm and still does decent damage to Maulers. The problem is that it doesn't penetrate Chaos Warrior armor, meaning you don't have an effective answer for them. And if you know anything about Cataclysm games, and I'm gonna try and make a point to say this in every episode from here on, you have to have an effective answer for every scenario. If you don't, it will be very difficult to get around sometimes. And that's where the Pocket Rocket comes in. Enormous damage, extremely powerful staggers, and a very generous AoE attack that can crush even Chaos Patrols. Switching from the Masterwork Pistol over to the Pocket Rocket has made all the difference, and once I learned how to position myself so everything is always in front of me, and I'm a healthy distance away from the front lines, it all just clicked for me. Wasn't easy, but with enough practice, I figured it all out. It doesn't fix his weaknesses, but that's how it should be, to be honest. You make him better in tight situations and more powerful melee-wise, and you're erasing the very thing that makes Outcast NG special. Every career should have a weakness, and Outcast is no exception, as it should be. You know, when it's all said and done, I like Outcast Engineer, which is kind of surprising considering he's the antithesis of my favorite character in the entire game. I mean, come on, one lives and dies on the front lines, and the other would be far more effective, staying back, finding good spots on the map where nothing can get you from behind. One excels at its highest when things are at their worst, while the other does an amazing job at stopping fires before they get out of control, but their mark on the battlefield almost disappears entirely when he's forced to resort to melee combat. And yeah, obviously Outcast Engineer is difficult to play, and even more difficult to master. The best way I can frame it to you, if someone like me can figure out how to play him, so can you. Thanks for watching.